Take a pit stop for all things NASCAR with the Four Tire Change podcast. Here is your host, Dawson Iserloh.
It's the Four Tire Change podcast, ESPN Southwest Louisiana. We are back ready to recap the NASCAR Cup Series in another exciting week and another really good race, I thought, at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Let's get right into it. Please continue to like, comment, subscribe if you're enjoying the content. We're going to be here all season long, each and every week, recapping the hottest topics in the NASCAR Cup Series. So this is a racetrack that I've, grown really fond of. I know there was a stretch of time where Homestead provided some pretty boring racing. It has not been like that for a while. It's been one of the tracks that has truly, truly flourished under the next-gen car. The ability to run multiple lines, to rip the wall, to run on the inside, the best cars seemingly being able to do both. It's been really, really cool to watch, and we obviously got the tremendous finish last year with Reddick making the last lap pass. So going into this race, my expectations were pretty high. And this was one of those that it eased into being a really competitive, fun race to watch. Early on, not a ton, but you saw some things happening. Ryan Blaney looks like he's got a car to contend, and like I talked about, running the outside wall, running the inside, being able to move his car around. You heard the broadcast reference that. I felt like that was going to be a big key for him, and I really was feeling good about the 12 teams' chances. As this race plays out, you're always going to have some strategy things, some penalties on pit road that are going to impact stuff. Had a big green flag feel to it as well, so I think that played into some of the strategy. I think you saw some of the crew chiefs kind of get antsy about, waiting for a caution when it didn't feel like a caution was going to happen. And then, of course, and look, Blaney had fallen out of the lead. It's not like he was dominating the race at this point, but he blows an engine. It just feels like the bad luck run for the 12 team has stretched it's been multiple years. Now, on that same token, he found a way to win a championship. Like, it's not all tears for Ryan Blaney's team. But another weird mechanical deal. We don't see a ton of blown engines anymore with the way these engines are constructed, and yet we did. And it takes him out of contention in a race that he certainly was going to have a chance in the late goings, especially if you re-rack these cars with a caution, he was going to have a chance there. But now he's out. Bubba Wallace, really been impressed with Bubba this season. We know he's probably feeling some of the pressure to try to perform or outperform or, at least similarly perform to the way his teammate Tyler Reddick has done. We know that it's been, a little bit of consistency issues for that 23 team altogether. And they put him out front, and he's got a stretch where I thought the 23 was going to win this race. Ultimately, the long run kind of ends up doing him in, and he can't find a way to get that done. But another top 5 finish for him. He finishes third place here. Points-wise, he's doing really well. Before I get to the winner of this race, a couple other notables. Ryan Preece with another top 10. He's 16th in points, and I don't know how high the expectations were for Preece getting into that number 60 car with RFK, them adding a third full-time team. I've always been a fan of Ryan Preece. I thought when, he got a bit of a tough deal with JTG Doherty when they lost, they didn't have the ability for him to run full time. They didn't have an extra charter, and then all of a sudden they kind of ran part time, and he drops off there. He goes back down into the Truck Series and kind of dominates, wins some races, proves he gets another chance, goes to Stewart-Haas, and it was just a mess. And then, look, he had the really scary wrecks over and over again. Had the one at Daytona that everybody remembers that was just frightening. For him to get this chance with RFK and really be just finding good finishes, he's outperformed Brad Keselowski this season, his team owner and his teammate. Buescher's been running good as well. That team's got some speed, and so I'll be watching them as we go on here into the meat of the schedule. But a nice finish for Ryan Preece. But ultimately, the winner of this race is Kyle Larson because he runs down Alex Bowman. There's a couple different sides of this. For Bowman, man, you felt like it was a golden opportunity. And I know that the narrative here is going to be that he choked this thing away when he gets into the wall and lets Larson pass him. Ultimately, I did think Larson was going to find a way by anyway. Like I really do think Larson was going to get there and make that pass one way or another. Did Bowman make it way easier and not at least make Larson have to stress? And again, even Larson, one of the best drivers in the world, he can make mistakes, so there's no guarantee he was going to get it done. So it really sucks for that 48 team for them to probably feel like they let it get away for sure. And that's been a thing for Bowman. He's been really good but not great in most of his Cup Series career. It's not one of those, we don't have to sit here and have a conversation about the 48 ride moving forward and Bowman's future. We'll have time to do that down the road. It's just another instance where you go, man, you had a potential race-winning car, and it's not worst-case scenario, hey, your teammate got by you, and the 5 seemed faster that entire last run. but another situation where it feels like Bowman didn't get everything out of the car he had, I guess, is the way I'll say it. And that's got to be frustrating for the 48 team, for Hendrick and everybody over there. For Kyle Larson, though, hey, it's another big-time win for him, and he runs Bowman down. The intrigue of, it's one of my favorite things at intermediate tracks when you have a deficit of, let's say, 4 to 5 seconds and 30 laps, and you just start to see that deficit ticking away. You know that second-place car is faster. It's just a matter if they're going to have enough time, and then once they get there, can they get around them, because we know about aero blocking and all that stuff. It's really satisfying to watch Larson do his thing. And, he wasn't perfect. He scraped the wall a couple times too. These composite bodies make it to where you can do that a little bit. And then, of course, like I said, we unfortunately get a little bit of drama taken away from us as Bowman makes a big mistake and Larson clears him without any real issues. But big win for the 5 team. Get things going. This was a race where your real contenders, as I, wanted to see how much we could make of Las Vegas with all the comers and goers with Josh Berry and all those things. How much would that come to fruition? Back to some of our power teams here, right? Hendrick finishes 1-2. I mentioned Bubba, 23-11, finishing 3rd. They've really kind of put themselves in that power team conversation. And you didn't have as many of the kind of surprising things that made your eyebrow raise when you look at the final stat sheet here, the final running line. So anyway, it's a big win for Larson. And now you wonder about the momentum here. Christopher Bell, who did not have a great day at Homestead at all, trying to continue the momentum of what he's done earlier in the season. But Bell, Larson, is there someone else? Is William Byron going to jump back up in there? Who are going to be the drivers that contend for the regular season championship and start stacking those playoff points? We know we have a really good feeling this is not going to be the last win of his regular season, right? So that stuff will be interesting. Denny Hamlin was in and around. He just hasn't quite had that race-winning car yet, it feels like. But it does seem like the 11 team's making some progress, so I'm still kind of monitoring what they're doing. It should be interesting. It should be interesting to really kind of see where this thing goes from here. And now we go to yet another track that we really haven't been to. We obviously haven't been there this season, and we haven't really even been to another place that we can probably compare, and that's Martinsville. Obviously a lot different from Phoenix. It is going to be interesting to see how this, tire situation goes with NASCAR's plan. I don't really know what to expect. Phoenix went in a completely different direction than I thought it would, and I thought the tire stuff was awesome. So they've got different plans for different tracks that are at least slightly adjusted. Goodyear's been doing their thing. They've been doing a pretty good job so far. I hope the racing's really, really competitive because we know Martinsville got to a point with the next gen early on where it was not great, and there was a lot of problems with the racing, and it wasn't competitive, and it wasn't entertaining. I'm hoping we've got some of that sorted out, and I hope we get a really competitive race on Sunday because it's one of the best tracks in the sport, one of the most historic when it's right. So let's see if we could get that stuff figured out. As far as picking a race winner here, I really don't know, man. I'm tempted to go with Ryan Blaney, and I guess I will. I'll go Blaney just because we know he's been so good at Martinsville in the past. We know Penske usually has really, really good cars there. We know all the success that Logano's had as well. I'll tell you what, though. Do not put Josh Berry out of your frame of mind here in this race. If I have to pick a dark horse, it'll be Berry to potentially get his second win of the season. He's got a Penske engine. I think those Penske cars are good at Martinsville for a reason. Berry's really good at the short tracks. Like that 21 team is firing on all cylinders. They've got momentum. They've got confidence. They've got belief right now. So I'm going to pick his pseudo teammate Ryan Blaney with the numbers inverted there. We'll go from the 21 to the 12. But I'm keeping my eye on the 21 team. Outside of that, like Ken Hendrick and Gibbs, what do the Toyotas and the Chevys have for the Fords at Martinsville is going to be interesting to see as well. I think we'll know a lot come qualifying. We'll obviously know more once the green flag gets underway. But I'm excited for it. Should be fun. It's an interesting little portion of the schedule. After we've kind of settled in that strange start with all the different tracks, now we're back into some of our traditionals. But now we get a little bit of a break with the short track in Martinsville. And it's yet another piece to the puzzle of the clues of who's going to have the speed this year. We don't really know. We don't really know what Martinsville's going to look like because we don't have enough of a similar track to compare it to. So I'm fascinated. I'm going with Penske because of history, but I certainly wouldn't be surprised if one of these other teams ends up having the car of the day. So we'll see how it goes. Please continue to like, comment, subscribe. 4 Tire Change will be rolling along. We'll be back next week with a Martinsville recap as always. But this should be fun, man. Let's keep the Cup Series content rolling. We'll be back next week.